Om Mirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurlimitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Kamalam Shri Yutam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamshcha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaurabhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishyati Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha
Hare Krishna.
Mataji,
Cheppute.
Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratviche Namaha Namah Pankajanabhaya Namah Pankajamaline Namah Pankajanetraya Namaste Pankajangraye Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmanya Hitaya Cha Jagat Hitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvinshesha Shunyavadi Pachyata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaurabhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate
Hare Krishna. So we have completed 7 chapters and now we are into 8th chapter, right? The name of the 8th chapter is Attaining the Supreme. Who is the Supreme? Who is the Supreme?
Lord Krishna.
Lord Krishna. Very good. So we have finished the first 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, which is the first section of total Bhagavad Gita that talks about Karma Yoga. We got a long gap now, 2 weeks gap. So I'm again telling 6 chapters and saying at the end of 6th chapter, Krishna says that yogi is greater than a karmi, jnani or tapasvi. So he says, so we have to become the spiritual seekers and realize God, which is very important. So first 6 chapters, we talked about working, how to work with detachment. That is, such kind of a person is called karma yogi. So bhakti yoga is work with devotion. So, now from 7th to 12th chapters in the middle of Bhagavad Gita talks about the bhakti yoga. So all these things lead us, take us to the same place, that is to the God. That is all learning of all the first 6 chapters about karma and all those things take us to bhakti yoga only. Okay. So by doing prescribed work and realizing the supreme, we will develop transcendental knowledge. Just by doing work we won't get, but we have to, what, as a human being, because we are born, we have to do our prescribed work, and then we have to relating to supreme. That means whatever we are doing, the prescribed job, that means as per our varna asrama we should do, and as per our age also, whatever we are supposed to do, we have to do. And and then we become a jnana yogi, and then we'll understand what is, who is Krishna, what is, we'll understand the transcendental knowledge, and then we will go back to Krishna. So then we have come to the 8th chapter now, and in the end of 7th chapter, in the 30th sloka, the last sloka, he realized he has introduced lot of new words. Who has introduced? Krishna has introduced lot of new words like Brahman, Adhyatma, Karma, Adi Yajna, Adi Bhutam, Adi Daivam, and Prayana Kale. All these are the 7 new terminologies Krishna has introduced in the last sloka of the 7th chapter. So now we are in this 8th chapter, we are going to discuss about all this. How Arjuna will start, the 8th chapter will start with all this. Okay. And to summarize 7th chapter, Krishna spoke about the glories, the knowledge about himself. Why? Because when we want to see, we admire so many people. When some people say something, we 100% believe it. Whereas when some people say something, we won't believe it. Why? Because when we know the greatness of the other person, only then we will have faith on whatever they say. And then we will believe them. So here to develop faith in us, so Krishna has talked about his glories, his greatness. Okay. In the first section of Bhakti, that is in the 7th chapter, he has talked about all this. So he also said one should hear about him. How will we know the glories of Krishna? We have to hear about him. And from where we should hear? We should hear either from Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, or from a guru. The guru must be in the parampara. And not just a guru who just says I am a guru and who speaks. That is not what we have to take. We have to take from the right guru. On hearing from him, he said, when we realize from a guru, Krishna will reveal us what is jnanam, and he talked about what is jnanam and what is vijnanam. What is jnanam? Jnanam is about Krishna's opulences and energies, that is his greatnesses and his energies. Vijnanam is about his personal attributes and his sweetness. Even though we all think that, why Krishna, why are you giving me this trouble? We always forget that Krishna has given us more blessings than troubles. So we have to understand the sweetness of Krishna. And also Krishna says in the 7th chapter, a person with this jnana and vijnana are very rare. Are very rare. Okay. And in the 7th chapter, in the beginning, he talks about his energies, and later he spoke about his material energies. What are his material energies? Panchabhutas and other things, the 24 elements with which all this creation is made. These are his material energies. And in the 5th sloka, he spoke about his spiritual energy, the living entities. We are his spiritual energies. And in the 6th sloka, he says, I am the source of both material and spiritual energy. See, only when a material energy and a spiritual energy come together, the combination is the actual living being. We see anything, we see any living being, we see a combination of material and spirit. All the living beings have Krishna in them. With Atma, what is Atma? It's an extended form of Krishna. So with Atma, a non-living being becomes a living being. See, when the Atma leaves the body, we become a material. We never call a dead body as he or she. When there is a dead body, we address it as it. That means we address it as a material thing. Only when the Atma is there, we address it as a he, she, that way we address it. So that is the difference. And in the 7th sloka, he says, I am the maintainer of everything. Just by creating, nothing will happen. Everything will become a big havoc. Like a TV manufacturer creates a TV. And unless somebody maintains it, there is no use of the TV, a car, anything. There has to be a maintainer. So when we build a city, there has to be a maintenance of municipality, maintenance of police, and a lot of other maintenance must be there. That way, this universe also is maintained by Lord Krishna. And in 8th to 12th chapter, he says he is the essence of everything. He is there. He is the essence of everything. But and he says that all this material, all these living beings are influenced by the 3 modes of material nature. And even though 13 sloka, he says that the jivas are influenced by the material modes. Only a person who understands Krishna can escape from the influence of the material modes. How? That is very simple, because we always keep material modes. What are material modes? Nothing but our desires. It is always our sensual desires. We see something we want, we eat something we want more. That way we always keep looking for something. So only when we understand Bhagavad Gita, then we understand that all these things are temporary. The moment we understand that all these things are temporary, we will never desire for them. So normally we only desire for permanent things. When we understand that it is only Krishna who is permanent, we will automatically lose interest on all these material things. So that is how a devotee will come out of the influence of the material nature. Okay. That way. And in the 14th sloka of 7th chapter, he talks about how to come out of it. The way is very simple and very difficult. Answer is very simple, but to follow it is very difficult. Very difficult. So how do we do it? We have to surrender onto him. But it's simple to say that we have to surrender onto him. But surrender onto him is not that easy. And in the 19th sloka, he says, who surrenders onto me, after several lives will attain me. Like we just surrender onto him now, we won't attain him immediately, because there also we have to undergo a lot of process. So we will attain him after many births. And he talks about 20 in the 20 to 23rd slokas. He talks about the demigod worships. Who worships the demigods? That means who have got material desires. Material desires also, who wants to fulfill their material desires will worship Krishna. And they are all, and however, the greatness with Krishna is, we say, Krishna, you are not existing. He will say, okay, you think like that only. He will never force us. Like Krishna, you have no body, or you are only a light, you are only a power, you are only a source. He says, okay, that way. So he reciprocates in the same way. And also he talks about Mayavadis, how they don't worship Krishna, how they don't believe Krishna, all those things. And he says, I know the past, present, and future. And who understands, we cannot understand it. Only he can understand because he is there from this. And then he speaks about types of devotees, many types of devotees. Okay, like Sakama Bhaktas, Artas, Adhartis, Moksha Karmis, Jnanis, and other different things. And he talks about various bhaktis like Jnana Misra Bhakti and Kevala Bhakti, that is a pure devotee. So, and also Krishna, and then in the 29th and 30th slokas, Krishna introduces some new terminology like Brahmam, Adhyatma, Adibhuta, Adignya, like that 7 new terminologies he introduces. So now this 8th chapter starts with Arjuna asking, what are these, all these things? So we'll go to 8th chapter. Okay. Attaining the Supreme. 8th chapter is attaining the Supreme. How do we get Supreme? How do we reach Supreme? How do we go to Supreme? Is this 8th chapter. Okay, I have already talked about all this, no? Knowledge of Krishna, attaining him, all these things we have already discussed. And in this 8th chapter, this is how it goes. So in the 8th chapter, 1st to 8th, it says remembering Lord Krishna at the time of death. Mostly this chapter talks about remembering Krishna at the time of death. Why? Because we all know that whatever we remember at the time of death is going to decide our next life. And that remembering in 9 to 16, he talks about remembering Krishna by Yoga Misra and pure bhakti. And 17 to 22, material versus spiritual words. 23 to 28, pure bhakti in attaining Krishna. Okay, so just Sloka 1. Jitesh, you want to read?
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Kim Brahma Kim Adhyatam Kim Karma Purushottama Avibhutam
Shakim.
Kim Protam Adideva Kim Uchyate. Translation. Arjuna inquired, O my Lord, Lord of Supreme Person, what is Brahman? What is the Self? What are
Fruitive.
fruitive activities? What is this material
Manifestation.
And what are demigods? Please explain this to me.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So in the last previous, as I told just now, Krishna has introduced all these words, new words. What are those new words? Karma, Brahman, and other new words. So here now Arjuna started asking him, what are all these words? So Arjuna asked about all this. What is Brahman? What is self? What is fruitive activities? What is the material man? We all know most of these questions. We all know what is the material manifestation and what are the demigods. Please explain. Is what he says. So in this he says. So here we all know what is all this, no? So he says, yeah. Okay, he says all this. What are all this? So Arjuna, now Krishna has to answer. He has asked, what is Adibhutam? What is that? Adi Daivam, and all those things he has asked. Now, Sloka 2. Yeah. Dikshit, you can read.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Can I read Mataji?
Yeah.
Adiyanjan katam kotra desmin madhusudana prayana kale prayana kale
Kale.
chakatam kale chakatam jinyoshi niyatam. Translation: who is the Lord of sacrifice and how does he live in the body, O Madhusudana? And how can those engaged in devotional service know you at the time of death? Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Who is this? So in the first sloka, Arjuna has asked 5 doubts. Now he is asking the remaining 3 doubts. What are his doubts? Who is the Lord of sacrifice? And that is Adi Yajna. Who is Adi Yajna? And how does he live in this body? In this body means in our body. Dehe Asmin. And then he addresses here as Madhusudana. Why he addresses Krishna as Madhusudana is Krishna has killed a demon called Madhu. So he is called as Madhusudana. That means, great personality who has killed a demon called Madhu. But here, why Arjuna has taken that reference? Krishna has got a lot of other names, but why he has taken that reference is because here what Arjuna wants is the way Krishna has killed all the demons, the demon called Madhusudana, Arjuna wants Krishna to kill his doubts on all this. That is the reason why Arjuna has addressed Krishna as Madhusudana. And next question is, how can these be, how can those engaged in devotional service know you at the time of death? This is the most crucial and most important question. This is the answer for this is going to decide our next life. So this is what the almost the total chapter will be on this only. That is the Prayana Kale. It's the most important word, the Prayana Kale. Prayana means journey. How should our mood be while we are leaving the body? So that is most important. That's what we have to understand here. So Arjuna has asked all the 8 doubts in these 2 slokas. So and Krishna explains all of them. Okay. Here why Prayana Kale is, we have to be very, normally we all know that while at the time of death, what is the consciousness with which we are going to get the same birth next life. So what will we think? Okay, let us all enjoy our life with material enjoyment. And while dying, let us think about Krishna. We will think about Krishna at the time of death. And so, but that is not important. One thing that is not important, that is not easy. And that will not be possible. See, you children, for the best example for you is, when your mother asks you to study for the whole year, what will you do before exams? I'll study. You'll say, tomorrow I'll study, tomorrow I'll study, tomorrow I'll study. And that tomorrow will never come and exams will come. That time also, one day before exam, you'll start studying, or 2-3 days, 1 week before exams, you'll start studying. What will happen? A person who studies every day, he will write exams better than the person who studies on the last day. Suddenly your teacher gives a slip test in the class saying, from the yesterday's lesson, I'm giving a slip test. Who can write? A person who studies regularly can answer the slip test. Others cannot answer the test. That way, we all think we are going to live for long, and while leaving the body, we will think about Krishna, but that may not be possible. Sometimes we might fall sick and go into coma. Sometimes while dying, we might have such a kind of horrible pains in the body. We'll only think about the pains and not about Krishna. And sometimes the death can be sudden without our knowledge. Maybe sitting like this, still in the class, I might just fall off like this. Then how do I know that I am dying? How can I remember Krishna? See, recently in the paper, we have studied one very rich man, a big businessman. Even the Prime Minister was saying sorry for his death. He was only 52. He was just going in the car with his friends, and there was an accident on the road and spotted, finish. That man would have never imagined that he would die. So, but he died. So that kind of situation, how do we know? How do we remember Krishna? When that is happening, what will we remember? Arey, car accident is what is going to happen? That kind of thoughts will come, but we will not remember Krishna. How will we remember Krishna? What will we remember? So suppose the whole day today you do something and let sleep off. What will you remember the next day? When you get up, first thing we'll remember is whatever we did yesterday. That way, the impression on Krishna has to fall in our mind so strongly that any moment it will be Krishna only. Suddenly you put a test, you'll have to, the way you write the exam, if you are well prepared, we have to remember Krishna well while leaving the body. So, so here he asked, who is the Lord of Sacrifice? Lord of Sacrifice means the chief of all the head of the administration of all the sacrifices we are doing. Who is he? He is none other than Indra. So that Indra also is head of all the administrative affairs of the demigods. So we have studied, when we studied Krishna Kathas, we have studied about him, no? How arrogant he has become. And when Krishna and others have not done prayers to him, how he has caused harm because of the arrogance and all those things we have studied also. We know that the Lord of Sacrifices, God Krishna. Sorry, Indra. Yeah. Harshit, you want to read this? 8.3.
Mataji, can I?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Next. Harshit is ready.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Aksharam Brahma Paramam Svabhavodhyatma Uchyate Bhuta Bhavodbhakaro Visargaha Karma Samnita. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, the indestructible, transcendental living entity is called Brahman and his eternal nature is called Adhyatma, the self-action pertaining to the development of the material bodies of the living entities is called karma or the fruitative activities. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Translation. Now Krishna starts answering the questions whichever Arjuna has put in the first two chapters. So there the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, the indestructible, transcendental, living entity is the Brahman. He explained what is Brahman. And his eternal nature is called Adhyatma. This is the second answer, the self. Action pertaining to the development of the material bodies or the living entities is called karma or the fruitive activities. This is how Krishna has answered the questions. That is, first he talks about Brahman. Normally, Brahman means it has got lot of meanings based on the reference. So we know the same word will have different meanings based on the situation. So that way, but here Krishna explained under what reference he is using the word Brahman. This Brahman, some Brahman means sometimes we address Lord Brahma as Brahman, and who is the secondary creator of this material nature. And sometimes the spirit soul which is in us, the spirit soul, we address it as Brahman. Sometimes the Supreme Lord we address as Brahman, the Parabrahma. We know, no? Parabrahma, Parandhama, Paramam Pavitram. That way we tell the sloka. So that way is Parabrahma. Sometimes the spiritual, we call it as anything spiritual, we call it as Brahman. That means anything, all these things which we take, consider any example, Brahman means indestructible. That means which is permanent, is called Brahman. So in the material body, you are a living, that means in the material body, the Brahman is there. That means the Atma, the soul is there. In here, Krishna is referring to the Brahman in the material body. And the second question he asked, the answer is Swabhava, Adhyatma. That means here the answer, The third one, no? What the answer given is Swabhavo Adhyatma. That means Swabhava Adhyatma. What is Swabhavam? Swabhava means character. Somebody, I mean, what is character? The nature in which one behaves is called the Swabhavam. I think it is a Sanskrit word only. Everybody should understand this word Swabhavam. That means maybe if a person is very normally cool and sometimes get angry, his swabhav is not anger. His swabhav is only coolness. So that way, swabhavam is a long-term nature, what we have acquired, and we have this quality. I mean, just one day something happens, that won't become our swabhavam. What we normally maintain, we are always lazy. And one day we, because of some motivation, we do something. What is our swabhavam? Our swabhavam is laziness. And normally we are very active, and one day we go lazy. What is our swabhavam? Our swabhavam is very active. That way swabhavam is our long-term nature. These swabhavam, how do we get it? We get it because of the impressions we acquire from many lives. And normally any activity, whatever we do, depends and based on our swabhavam only. So if our swabhavam is very energetic and enthusiastic and if active swabhavam, we are always on the move doing something. And if our swabhavam is a lazy swabhavam, we always sit idle, sleeping. So everything depends on our swabhavam, our behavior. Mainly our behavior depends on our swabhavam. We do our karma, whatever actions. What is karma? Karma is action. So we do our karma based on our swabhavam. Okay. And the third one, what he has addressed is karma. Here, karma is action. But what Krishna here is referring is fruitive actions. That means the action what we are doing in expecting a result. That means we are not doing it for Krishna. Normally, whatever action we do is based on thinking that the response should be like this. That is what it is, which can mean a fruitive action. The desire, what drives us towards the karma is the desire towards the desires drives us towards the karma. Okay. Our activity today, and normally we have to always be very cautious. Whatever we are thinking today, whatever we are doing today will make our next body ready there. Our next body, our next life will be getting ready based on the activity, whatever we are doing now. We develop desires and also we do some devotional service with the desires. What happens is our next life will be we will enjoy all the desires whatever we have achieved because of the devotional service we have done. So that way we have to be very careful in our actions and also in our thoughts. Our thoughts and actions decide our future life. This is what we have to be very careful. And we always think I am behaving very nicely, I am doing things very nicely, nobody will know, I am talking so sweetly, but inside suppose I am doing I say that I love Krishna, I am doing devotional service, I talk very good, but suppose inside I am cursing Krishna or thinking very bad things, people around us may not know. They will all think, oh, this boy is very devotional, this girl is Padmavati Mataji is very good. Then like that they will think. But inside, Krishna knows what is going in my mind. So based on that, my next life will be decided. So sometimes we mean like as we say, fruitive activities, our desires are so high, and we do lot of devotional service. I want lot of enjoyment with this, that, this. Then we will sometimes we can even get elevated into heavenly life. That means we will become devatas. As we discussed, lot of devatas are there. We will also become one of them. And those then what will happen to those devatas? That devata's life is also temporary. So based on the devotional service, what they have done and the desires they had, they will become devatas. As it is, like we have talked about it many times, it is nothing but a bank account. So here, by doing lot of devotional service, we have accumulated lot of money in the bank. So now you will be given permission to enjoy the bank money in the bank. So once we finish enjoying, what will happen? Immediately we'll come and fall back to this material world. And then again we start from zero. So we have to be very careful in our thoughts and desires also. Okay. Next, 8.4. Vishnupriya, are you there?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah.
आधिभूतमिक्षरो भाव पुरुषश्चाधिदैवतम् आधियज्ञोऽहमेवात्र देहे देहभृताम्बर. Translation. O best of the embodied beings, the physical nature, which is constantly changing, is called Adhibhuta, the universal form of the Lord, which includes all the demigods like those of the sun and moon, is called Adidaiva. And I, the Supreme Lord, represented as the super soul in the heart of every embodied being, am called Adi Yagna.
The Lord of sacrifice. Yeah, good. Oh, best of embodied beings. That means Krishna always says Arjuna is the best. So he says, oh, best of embodied beings. The physical nature, which is constantly changing. We all know about this. Anything physical is not permanent. It keeps on changing. Even our body also keeps on changing. The cells dying and then new cells are born. So even this material body, even the body in which we are living, we think we are living for 60 years, 80 years also, is not living for 80 years. Lot of things inside is changing. That is Adibhuta, the material manifestation. The universal form of Lord, which includes the demigod, those demigods, like those, the sun, moon, is called Adi Daivam. Put all of them put together is called Adi Daivam. And I, the Supreme Lord, represented as the Supreme Soul in the heart of every embodied being, am called Adi Yajna, the Lord of Sacrifice. Okay. So Adibhuta. So here Krishna has addressed the words. He has taken the words as Akshara, and all that. Akshara means every day, whichever is changing daily, constantly changing. Our body is constantly changing. Anything, all these Panchabhutalu are constantly changing, and is a combination of various. Our body is a combination of 24 elements. Most of the living beings are a combination of 24 elements, and different kind of combinations forms different material manifestations. Okay. So which is made of, this is made up of a lot of devatas called Surya, Chandra and all that. 8.5. Jitesh, are you reading this?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah.
Antakali chamameva samadan muktava kalevaram ya yati samadbhavam yati nasti atra
Nasyatra samsayaha.
Translation. And whoever at the end of his life puts his body remembering me alone at once against my nature. Of this here is no doubt.
Of this there is no doubt. Now we have come to the actual word antakalecha. And whoever at the time of his life quits the body remembering me alone, he is the only person, at once attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. Krishna says there is no doubt on this. If you remember me while leaving the body, you are going to come back to me. Krishna is very clear on this. This is 5th sloka. And also in the previous sloka, actually he has talked about the Adi Daiva, which I did not tell. That is the Adi Daiva is the Virata Rupa, that is the Paramatma, the universal form of God, which includes that is Adi Daiva, which I missed telling. So now he has talked about the Parma. And in the previous sloka, he has talked about Adi Yajna also. That is the Paramatma situated in all the living beings. The super soul gives the soul the function. How do all these bodies function? The super soul gives the soul to function freely and witnesses the activities, enjoyer of all the activities. And some believe that there is no super soul at all. So Krishna also gives it in the same form. Okay. So, and also when we come to Adi Yajna, the imaginary form of Krishna is this material world, and which is the manifestation of Krishna's energy. And what is all this material energy we are in? It is nothing but the manifestation of the material energy. Energy has no existence without the energetic person, and it is vice versa. Like there is energetic person and there is energy. The energetic person should have energy, and the energy should have the energetic person. These two are separate, and they normally depend on, actually I'm telling you the previous sloka, not sloka, I forgot to touch on some points, so I'm telling them that now. So both of these go together. Okay, so so it is like Prabhupada, he takes an example of a tape recorder. Like normally we think that the energetic person cannot function without the energy cannot function without the energetic person. But here what the example Prabhupada always takes is like a tape recorder. Prabhupada's songs are recorded in tape recorders. So that is his voice. So when we hear to the song of Prabhupada in a tape recorder, who is singing? Prabhupada is singing. Is Prabhupada there? No. That means that is his energy which is doing it. But without Prabhupada, this is not there. Without this, we cannot hear that without Prabhupada also. That way, they are together and they are separate. That is what we also call as Abeda, Achinta Beda, Abeda Tattva. That means simultaneously different and again one. So here when we say Paramatma, we can always say the lower parts are his legs. The lower in the planetary system, the lower parts, we say Patala Lokam and all those things, they are his legs. And the higher parts are his upper parts of the body, the universal form of Krishna, and demigods too. And this I know with these are all these things are very confusing. Rather than trying to understand all this, just simply believe that Krishna is there, Krishna will take care, let us all pray to Krishna. Then there is no confusion about all this. Who is God, who is that? All these confusions are not there. Okay, so that's how we have to build. And the seventh doubt what Arjuna has raised was, in the heart of everybody, Krishna is there. And the eighth one is the Prayana Kale, the balance, the total balance chapter explains about the Prayana Kale, and that is starts in 8.5 thing. So that means here Krishna is telling very clearly that whoever remembers me while leaving this body will get me. If you and we always when we remember this immediately, because we always think that we are special, we are greater than everybody else. So what we think, I'm great. Everybody may forget Krishna while leaving the body, but I won't forget. While dying, I will remember Krishna. So now let me not think about Krishna. Let me enjoy. But is it possible? It is not that possible. See, you study very well one day before the exam. But when you write the exam, suppose you have studied the same subject 10 times and studied long back and revised many times, then you will not forget that during the exam. But if you don't study that way, and if you study on the last day, if you plan to study on the last day, what can happen? Maybe last day some emergency might come in the house, there is no power, or there are heavy rains where the house is all covered with water, the way it is happening in Hyderabad now. Or maybe you can fall sick the way I have fallen sick. So anything can happen. So we will not be able to study. So, but you have planned very beautifully to study on the last day, but the situation may not permit you. That way, we should never think that I will enjoy my life now. In fact, spending devotional life is also enjoyment only, which we should not forget. So we should never think that we will do it at the last moment. So we always talk about art of living, but we should be very clear that more than art of living, living is temporary. We should know the art of living. How we should leave this body is art of living. So we should never forget that, and we should know the art of living. So every moment we must understand that every moment is very important, and we should practice devotional service and remembering Krishna to in all the good days and bad days. Like whatever we are thinking tonight in the whole day, those things only come as dreams in the night. Those things only the next day when we get up, we remember those things only. So normally what happens is, suppose we develop lot of desires. That means suppose a mother loves her son very much, and then she keeps on thinking about the son. While leaving the body, she cannot remember Krishna. She will only remember her son. That way, like we see, a lot of people, they get small children, they get cancer, and somebody asks, what is your last wish? Then he says, I want to become a police commissioner. So what a cinema hero or somebody, he goes and then he gives him makes him act as a police commissioner, and somebody says, I want to see Amitabh Bachchan. So Amitabh Bachchan will go and meet him. That way he will only remember whatever he was wishing all his life. But if he was wishing that he wants to see Krishna at the time of leaving, Krishna will come into our eyes. He will come into our memory. So it's very important that we should always think about Krishna. Only the thoughts, what we have been thinking towards in the whole life, that will influence our death. Like, suppose just think, early morning you hear a song, and then you sing along switch on the radio, one song will come. You sing along with it. And then what will happen? That whole day, that song only, it will be running in your mind. It will automatically run until something more stronger will come and influence your mind. The same song will be running. Similarly, we do chanting and other devotional service, that Hare Krishna Maha Mantra will be running in our mind, and so when it keeps on running in the mind, it becomes so strong, it makes such a strong impact on the mind that when we are leaving this body, we will remember Krishna. So practicing Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That is most important in life, and chanting and practicing it regularly is very important. Okay, Dikshit, you want to read the next one?
Hare Krishna Mataji, can I read Mataji?
Yeah, read.
Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam yajatyante kalevanam tam tameva iti kaunteya sada tad bhava bhavitada. Translation: whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, the state he will attain without fail. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, the state he will attain without fail. Like we have lot of examples for this. Like they say it's a small story. Like it seems there was a saint who was very devotional, and he led a very devotional life, and then he had very lot of Shishya Parampara also with him. So when he was dying, what they did is, they knew he was dying, they brought him out of the hut in which he was living. So, and then he died there. And after some time, one of his Sishyas, they come across a great personality. And so he says, Swami, my Guru has passed away. So I am sure he must have been born, he must have reached Krishna. Then the other Swamiji says, no, your Guru has not yet gone. Your Guru, then he says, where is my Guru? He says, he takes him to the hut where this man has passed away. And in front of the, he says, you see the fruit there, and in the fruit, there is a worm in the fruit. Your Guru is there inside the fruit worm. Then this man gets stunned. Arey, my Guru was so great. He was doing so much of devotional service. How can he be born as a worm in the fruit? Then this man says, you brought your Guru and then made him sleep under the tree before he died. And then when he was looking at the tree, a beautiful fruit was there. When the beautiful fruit was there, then the sun was falling on it and it was shining. Then he got so tempted on the fruit. Hey, the fruit is so nice. I would like to eat the fruit. That kind of thought has come into the mind, and then he died. And so he wanted to eat the fruit. So he is born as it because he has done lot of good activities to fulfill his life, and because he should have a small life just to fulfill that, he was born as a worm in the fruit. And now he will eat the fruit and his desire is finished, and then he will go back to Goloka. That way, whatever we feel at the time of death is very important. And there's one more story also. There was a brahmachari in Vrindavan, a very, very good person. Like he had his guru, and then he was doing good devotional service and all that. Then unfortunately or fortunately, he got some disease. And so then he knew that he is going to die soon. So before death, what he goes to his guru and then he master and says, Master, anyway, now that I am going to die, can I go and visit my parents once and then come back? So that before, if I die, they will be happy that they have seen before my death. Then the master doesn't agree. He says, no, you're not going. But then this man keeps thinking about the parents. So after some time, after some days, now the master knew that this man is going to die in a day. Then he calls one more devotee and says, okay, this brahmachari wants to go to his parents. Take him to the parents. So they both of them start in a train. So the moment they leave Vrindavan and just travel for little time, this brahmachari dies. Then his body is brought back to Vrindavan and cremated. Then the assistant who assisted the first brahmachari gets little upset with the guru. He thinks, Arey, what did my guru do? You should have sent this man before to his parents so that he would have seen his parents and that desire would have been fulfilled. But then he goes and asks the guru, Guru, why did you do this? You should have done the other way. Then the guru says, see, what is important is our mind while leaving the body. If I had sent this brahmachari to his parents a month back, he would have gone there, seen all the suffering of his parents, and also he would have seen how his parents are suffering because he is going to die. So all this will make such a strong impact on his mind that after coming back to Vrindavan also, even though physically he'll be in Vrindavan, his mind will be with the sufferings of his parents. So when his mind is with the suffering of the parents, he will not go back to Goloka. I want him to go back to Goloka. So what did I do? I have sent just before he leaving the body, I have sent him out of Vrindavan. Then he misses, what does he miss? He misses Vrindavan. I came out of Vrindavan, such a sacred place. It is Krishna's place. I came out of Vrindavan. Why did I come out of Vrindavan? I should have gone there. That way his mind was totally on Vrindavan. That means even though physically he was out of Vrindavan, his mind was on Vrindavan. So he went back to Goloka. That is the explanation the Guru gives. That way we have to be very cautious while leaving the body. And also, even though we die in a negative mood, like Ravana and others, Kamsa, Ravana, they all were killed by Krishna. But they were hating Krishna. But even then, they were always thinking about Krishna, 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 even with anger. That is also a kind of spiritual service only, which we have to understand. But it is not advisable to do that. But that is one way of doing it. And also, all of us know the story of Ajamil. And we have to be very careful about this story. Because what we think is Ajamil spent a very bad life. But just before his death, he called his son Narayana, Narayana, and because of that, he went back to Goloka. No, it did not happen that way. We have to be very careful of understanding of Ajamin's story. Ajamin was a great devotee. He, in his childhood and up to he got married and certain life, he was a great devotee doing lot of auspicious deeds. But unfortunately, maybe because of previous karma or whatever it is, he gets tempted with a lady and then marries her and then does lot of bad things. But during when he was dying, because of his good fortune, we should say, he named his youngest son as Narayana. And when he knew that Yamadutas are coming to take him, he asked for Narayana. So here we think that Yamadutas came, Vishnudutas came, they had a fight, and finally he was taken back to taken by Yamalokas. That is not how it happened. There was a fight between Yamadutas and Vishnudutas. So which Ajamin, because of his knowledge or realization, he hears the discussion, what Yamadutas and Vishnudutas do. And then he realizes the mistake, whatever he has done. And then he gets a second chance. There is a book also written by Prabhupada by name Second Chance. And then he lives for, even the Yamadutas and Vishnudutas have come, and because of the confusion, both of them doesn't take him. And then he understands the mistake he has done. And then he goes for 12 years after that, he survived. And then he went back to Goloka because these 12 years he has spent in devotional service. So that way it would be clear. And also one more very important thing is, we should never think that, see, without having the knowledge that while leaving the body, we should remember Krishna, we might do a lot of things. But after getting this knowledge, we should never think that, okay, while leaving the body, I will not do now. That thought itself is wrong. That means whom are you trying to cheat? You are trying to cheat Krishna, thinking that I can cheat him by now enjoying my life, and then in the last days I will do spiritual devotional works and go back to Krishna. That means, what are you trying to do? You are trying to cheat Krishna. That is again very wrong. You should never do that. Without knowledge, if you do, Krishna will excuse us. And also while doing lot of bad deeds also, like hurting somebody or anything bad, while doing, we can never think that I'll do this now and I'll go back home and do a lot of chanting and do a lot of devotional service, where these two will get nullified. It will not get nullified. The moment you know that a deed is bad, that this action is bad, and still you do it, there is no way you can get out of it. Without the knowledge, if you do and then later realize, then there will be a way of getting out of it. So we have to be very cautious for this. Yeah, Harshit? Harshit, are you there?
Hare Krishna Mother.
Yeah.
Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmara yudhya maya pitamano buddhe mamevasya samshayaha. Translation. Therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in form of Krishna, and at that same time carry out your prescribed duty of fighting. With your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without doubt.
Hare Krishna. Translation. Therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna, and at the same time carry out your prescribed duties of fighting. Not sit and simply sitting up thinking about Krishna. We should do our prescribed duties. With your activities dedicated to me, thinking that I am doing it for Krishna, not for my sensual gratification, but for Krishna. And your mind and intelligence fixed on me. That means our mind should be there, our intelligence should always think, if I do this, will Krishna be happy? If I do this, will Krishna be happy? That kind of a thought should be there. You will attain me without doubt. So he is telling how to do our actions. So whatever he has done in the last two slokas, that means in 7 and 8, here Krishna concludes saying that only who remembers me while leaving the body will get back to me. And he always says while leaving the body, pranta kalecha, prayana samaye, these words he uses very frequently. So here he says sarveshu kaleshu, that means always remember me only, remember Krishna only. While practicing your karma, your mind and intelligence, only remember me. That is what our intelligence should always remember Krishna. Okay. And this is very relevant to us. So we hardly remember him when we are doing anything. After doing anything, we think, "Arey, we have done a mistake," or we should not have done this, not that way. Anything we are doing, we should always keep remembering Krishna. So it is very important that we have to remember him. That means the fifth sloka, which is Anta Kalesha, which is the fifth sloka, that is Anta Kalecha Mamecha. That means while leaving the body, we should remember Krishna. How do we do that? If we practice this seventh sloka, that is Tasmareshu Kaleshu, then automatically while leaving the body, we will remember Krishna. We should not do it as a duty. We should do it with love. And always, only when we do something with love, we'll do it perfectly. That means when we are doing something, if we believe in that and then do, then only we can do it fully. That means when you are studying also, if you study with interest, you will do it nicely. If you just study it because your mother is asking you to study, you will only do a half-hearted attempt. So if you always remember the way a river always, whichever direction the river is there, it will finally reach the ocean. There is nothing that can stop the river. There is a mountain also, either it breaks if it is a small thing, the river breaks that and goes. If it is a big thing like a mountain, it just diverts around it and then goes. But whatever way it is, it reaches the ocean. That way, because its mind, the ocean is the water which is flowing in a river, it can only flow towards the down part. Similarly, our mind also always thinks about Krishna. It goes back to Krishna. The way a river reaches the ocean. Okay. So 8th, Vishnupriya, are you there? Hare Krishna. She's not there. Yeah, Rohan, you can read.
Ma'am, will give chance to Jitesh, ma'am.
Yeah, Jitesh. Yeah, you read. You read. You don't talk about others.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. Abhyasa yoga yuktena chetasana gamina paramam purusham divyam yati partha nuchintayan. Translation. He who meditates on me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his mind constantly engaged in remembering me, undeviated from the path Partha, is sure reach to me. Hare Krishna Machari, Dandavat Pranam.
He should to reach me. You have to read totally, not swallow half the things. He who meditates on me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his mind constantly engaged in remembering me, undeviated from the path, he, O Partha, is sure to reach me. That means he is telling how to, the way to practice to remember Krishna. And so he is telling, practice on to meditate on me. When the mind is getting deviated, practice it to bring it back. Meditate on Paramapurusha or Divyam Krishna, not on we should not think that we should only think about Krishna, the figure what we know, not on a light or not on the sunya or not on an item, but we should always remember Krishna as a person and then meditate on him. But doing meditation is very difficult. So the best way is doing chanting, because while doing, we are talking, we are hearing, and we are thinking. So out of the devotional processes, 3 are being fulfilled. That is Shravanam, Kirtanam, and Smaranam. So our tongue, our ear, and our mind, by remembering, all are engaged in devotional service. So the best way to do devotional service is only chanting. To improve our taste also, here he says, think about me. But to improve our taste, never force anything. If you force something, our mind will ask for it more. So what we have to do is, when we know that there is something, we have a bad habit, never think of saying, I will not do it, I will not do it. Start doing something different which will give you more happiness. Automatically this thing will go off. So here we have to be always think about better things, which will automatically take us away from all the bad things. Harshit? Harshit?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Kavim Purnam Anusitaram
Puranam Anusisitaram
Anusitaram Anor Aniyam Sam Anusmered Yaha Sarvasya Dhatmaram
Dhataram
Dhataram Achintya Rupam Adityavarnam Tamasa Parastatha Parastata. Translation: one should meditate upon the Supreme Person as the one who knows everything, as he who is the oldest, who is the controller, who is smaller than the smallest, who is maintainer of everything, who is beyond all material conception, who is inconceivable, and who is always a person. He is luminous like the sun, and he is transcendental, beyond this material nature.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. One should meditate on the Supreme Person as the one who knows everything. When we think that he knows everything, we'll have more love, belief on him. He is the oldest, so he knows everything. Who is the controller? He only can control my mind. Who is smaller than the smallest? Who is the maintainer of everything? He is beyond all material conception. Who is inconceivable and who is always a person. He is luminous like a sun, and he is transcendental beyond this material nature. So here he has given various qualities of Krishna. 9 ways to remember Krishna he has given. One is, he says Kavim. That means who knows everything. The second one, he says Puranam. That means the oldest person. He knows the past. That means no doubts, because our elders knows more than me, because they have seen more life. They have seen more things like me. So Krishna is there from the beginning. So he is the oldest person. Anusasanam. That means he is the controller of everything. That means he can even control Maya. Anything, everything, if it is running in the world like this, it is just because of him. The smaller than the smallest, means he is in every small living beings. As we know, every living, inside there is Atma and Paramatma. Because we are so big, we know there is Atma, Paramatma inside. But in the smallest of smallest, because we know what is the size of our Atma, it is 1/10,000 of the tip of our hair. The tip of our hair is only so small, and the Atma is, that's 1/10,000 size of that. That means which we cannot imagine the size of Atma. So, and Paramatma is also there. So he is because it's if you take a human body, it's big, but if you take a unicellular organization, it's small, and that unicellular organization is a atom. The atom also will have an Atma and Paramatma in that. That means the smallest, Krishna is smaller than the smallest. Only then he can fit into the smallest thing. So, Sarvasa Dhataram means he is the Sarvasya Dhataram. That means he is the maintainer of everything. Achintyam, he is inconceivable. And Achintya Rupam, a beautiful Rupam, need not be seen. That means, as somebody says, does he have a Rupam? Does he exist? We need not even answer. See, basically, people should understand that without, like if I am cooking in the house, physically I must be there. Only then I can cook. If this physical body is not there, how can I do it? Physically, because I am there, I am able to talk with you. That way, how can God also be there? Physically, He is there. He will be seen only when He desires. I cannot, like living such a kind of a low life. I cannot say, Krishna, how come I am not able to see you? I am nobody to question Him. It is His desire whether He wants to, whether He wants me to see Him or not. Like a great man, he has to decide that I want to go. He has to call us for an interview, saying, "Come, I'll give you an appointment. Come, you can see me." But we cannot say, if the chief minister is there, why he is not coming to my house? Why will a chief minister come to your house? It is we who have to go there. That means we have to achieve that status to see him. Okay, and Aditya Varnam, like he is as brilliant, his shine, he is as brilliant as sun, and beyond 90s, beyond the darkness of material existence. This material existence is for him. That means he is beyond that. He has, and as we know, he has a rupam, he has a structure, he has a body. So meditate on the rupam, which is already easy. So, and then don't try to meditate on sunyam or something not there. Now and from now he is going to, he is going to explain on yoga misra bhakti, which has 6 ways, a bit difficult. But so rather than understanding all these points, the best way is just have faith on Krishna and start doing chanting. That is the best way. Yeah. 10th. Rohan, will you read? Hare Krishna.
Mataji, can I read?
Yeah, whoever.
Okay, Mataji. प्रयाणकाले मनसाचलेन भक्त्या युक्तो योगबलेन चैव भ्रुवोर्मध्ये प्राणमावेश्य सम्यक् सतं परं पुरुषमुपैति दिव्यम्. Translation. Oh, one who at the time of death fixes his life between the eyebrows and by the strength of yoga within an intimating mind engages himself in remembering the Supreme Lord in full devotion will certainly attain to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna Mataji. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. One who at the time of death fixes his life between the eyebrows and by the strength of yoga with an undeviated mind engages himself in remembering the Supreme Lord in full devotion will certainly attain the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the moment we hear this, we think, oh, it is so difficult. How do I do all that? So that is the immediate doubt we will get. But this here he is describing the Satchakra Yoga, which is very difficult for us. So here we have to keep our thought and life here, and then if it goes away from here, then we go to Krishna is what is said. But why all this? Why all this difficulty? Just a pure devotee need not do all this. He can simply, just a devotee, even though Krishna is explaining all this, these are all not for pure devotees. For him, it is very simple. Just meditate on Krishna, think about Krishna. We will go back to Krishna. Yeah. Harshit, can you read? Harshit?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Yadaksharam Vedavido Vadanti Visanti Yatayo Ragaha
Vitaragaha.
Yadninchato Brahmacharyam Charanti Tatte Padam Sangrahena Pravakshe. Translation. Persons who are learned in the Vedas, who utter Omkara, and who are great sages in the renounced order, enter into the Brahman. Desiring such perfection, one practices celibacy. I shall now briefly explain to you this process by which one may attain salvation. Hare Krishna Mata.
Hare Krishna. Persons who are learned in the Vedas, who utter Omkara, and who are great sages in the renounced order, enter into Brahman. So, desiring such perfection, one practices celibacy. I should now briefly explain to you this process by which one may attain salvation. Krishna is going to explain one more. That means just keep on uttering Om, give up the Pita Raga. That means give up all attachments. Then you will be able to rise to Pranava. How to bring the Pranava Vayu here is give up all the attachments and keep saying Om, Om, it will come here. Then one will attain liberation. We'll attain liberation here. By doing all this, we will not get Krishna. We will only go to his effulgence, not into the Supreme Lord. Okay. So, why all this is again a question for us, which Prabhupada puts. Why we should do all this? Doing all this is not that easy. That means sitting, chanting. Here he says, give up all attachments. How can we give up all attachments being a human beings? We cannot. Rather than that, what we are doing is we are attaching ourselves with different things like Krishna. We are attaching ourselves with Krishna Bhaktas. We are attaching ourselves in doing devotional service and things like that. Okay? And Dikshit, will you read this? 12th and 13th, small. Dikshit. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji.
Sarvadvarani.
Dandavat Pranam. Sarvadvarani samyamya manohradi niryudacha murdhanyadaya dhayatmanaha pranam asito yogadharana. Translation. The yogic situation is that of detachment from all sensual engagements, closing all the doors of the senses, fixing in the mind on the heart and the life air at the top of the head. One establishes himself in yoga. Hare Krishna Mataji. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. So here he is telling various ways how to live our body. Again, the conclusion is rather than doing all this, just do Hare Krishna chanting. The yogic situation is that means what yogi does is that detachment from all the sensual engagements, no attachments on any sensual desires, closing all the doors of all senses and fixing the mind on the heart and the life air at the top of the head, one establishes himself in the yoga. Last one, 13. Dikshit, you can read. Yeah, who is reading this last one? Hare Krishna.
One is reading Mataji.
Read.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Dandavat Pranam.
Oh. Yeah. Rohan, read. Rohan, yeah, read.
Ekaksaram brahmavyaharam mamanusmaram yah prayati tyajan deham sayati paramam gatim. After being situated in yoga practice, and vibrating the sacred syllable Om, the supreme combination of letters, if one thinks of the supreme personality of Godhead and quits his body, he will certainly reach the spiritual parents. Hare Krishna Mataji Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. So here again, finally, he has concluded that only what is important is remembering Krishna is important. After being situated in the yoga practice and vibrating the sacred syllable Om, the supreme combination of letters, if one thinks of supreme personality, again we have to think about supreme personality only of Godhead and quits the body, he will certainly reach the spiritual planets. So again, finally, again, Krishna telling whatever you do all this yoga, you do Satchakra yoga and all this, but you have to remember Krishna only. So this is what it is. How to reach Krishna is just remember him during the time of your leaving the body. We should close here.